Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the chair of the SLA Board of Directors, Robert Gilbert.
Thank you, Joy. I don't know about you, but I'm glad Joy didn't get emotional, because I'm sitting at this table like bawling like you wouldn't believe, but very well done. At this point in time, I'd like to announce the slate for the 2019 Board of Directors as chosen by the nominating committee. Because the committee was being held in two locations, we did this yesterday in San Francisco and now LA. Some members may not be present, so please raise your hand briefly as I call your name. Robert Gilbert, SLA Chair, Markel West. Ms. Terry Moran, SLA Vice Chair, Paul Hansen Partners. Ms. Janet Beaver, SLA Secretary Treasurer, Tokyo Marine. Mr. Tim Shea, R.E. Shea and Associates. Mr. James Faley, Vela Insurance Services. Mr. Rich Gobler, Burns and Wilcox. Mr. Hank Haldeman, Worldwide Facilities. Mr. Cameron Kelly, Worldwide Facilities. Ms. Pam Quillisi, Krause and Associates. Mr. Charles Rawson, RT Specialty. Ms. Kathy Schrader, Sierra Specialty Insurance Services. Mr. Terrence Villa, Amwins. And the best dressed insurance professional from Arch, Mr. John Washington. Before I go to the floor for any additional nominations, I would like to remind the membership that each nominee must consent to the nomination. They must present his or her qualifications, undergo a background check by the CDI and the SLA. At this time, are there any other nominations from the floor? Thank you. Without objection, nominations are closed, and we will now proceed to vote on the slate. All in favor of electing the slate as determined by the nominating committee, please signify by saying aye. All opposed? Motion carries. It is my pleasure to welcome this year's Board of Directors. Formal ratification of these results will take place once contacts with individual voters have produced the quorum, and we will announce to the membership when a quorum has been achieved. Thank you again. Now, at this time, I'd like to nominating committee has approved the renomination of Judge Harry Lowe as mediator. As I always say to Harry, I'm wild about you, Harry. May I have a motion to reappoint Judge Harry Lowe as mediator? Is there a second? Thank you. All in favor, say aye. All not in favor, say no. Excellent. Motion carries. I'd like to thank Harry again. Thank you so much for your service. Appreciate it. Now here's the fun part. At this point in the agenda, we're scheduled to have a reading of the minutes from the previous meeting. Isn't that great? These minutes were posted online last week for your review, however, and I'm sure that everyone here read them. And there's a motion to waive the reading of the previous minutes and approve them as posted. Is there a second? Beautiful. Thank you. Motion carries. Minutes approved. And last but certainly not least, we've reached the point of the agenda where we honor those who are leaving the Board of Directors in 2019. In San Francisco, we honored outgoing board members Les Ross and Tom Cardello for their many years of service. Today, I have the distinct honor and privilege of thanking Jerry Sullivan for his decades of dedicated service to our industry and to the Surplus Lines Association. Some of our records at the SLA are pretty spotty before 1995, but we know that Jerry served 2 stints as chairman of the board in 1979 and again in 1995. He's also served continuously on the board since 2007, and we also know that he served many years on the board prior to that time as well. He has served for more than 20 years on the Legislative Committee and since 2007 on the Admitted Market Liaison Committee. He chaired that from 2007 to 2017. He also served 4 years on the Stamping Committee in the early 2000s. He's been a fixture for the SLA for decades. Jerry is no longer going to be holding a voting position on the board in 2019, but he always shows up, which we really, truly, truly appreciate. Those of you who are at Western States saw the tribute we made to Jerry for his decades of service and the pivotal role he has played in saving the surplus lines industry in California in the 1990s. He's a titan of the surplus lines sector, and we've been extremely fortunate to have his leadership and his involvement in our industry for many, many years. Jerry, on behalf of the entire California surplus lines community, I'd like to thank you personally for your many decades of dedicated service to our industry. If you would be kind enough, could you come forward, and you don't have to be on this, and receive something that we think, commemorative plaque that we think you'll enjoy. Let me just read it if I may. Outstanding Service Award presented to Gerald J. Sullivan, G.J. Sullivan Company, in recognition of your decades of service and contribution to the surplus lines community and the Surplus Lines Association Board of Directors, February 7th, 2019.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for the recognition, and just know you're not going to get rid of me that easy.
Finally, a short shout out to the people that make this thing possible. To Joy Irvin, to Clifton Brown, to Caroline Gilbert, Deborah Kerr, Phaedra Jackson, and the entire SLA staff for a wonderful event. I just want you to know that I'm sure you're thinking about, why does Gilbert get to do this again for another year? And the answer is quite simple. Tom Cardello took the last damn lutein bell, and the other one won't be, which by the way saved you a lot of time at this meeting. And it won't be, another one won't be available till next year, so they tell me. So do me a big favor. Thank you again for coming. Enjoy lunch at the Gold Room right next door.